afterwards, we're going to open it up for a certain amount of time for you guys to come up on stage and ask them some questions. At the end of their spiel, they're going to kind of give us a hard cutoff from when we're going to stop accepting those questions. And then we're going to move into the design AMA with our design team here. With all that being said, if you guys want to take it off, I'm going to mute myself.
Yeah, no, thank you, Zeno, for that. It's been a really exciting week. This this week in particular, we released more code than we've ever released in the history of our project all at once. And it's really a testament to the professionalism of Beetle Dude and Fawn and all of our devs that it went off with very little issues, really. Like everything seemed to go really smoothly, and we launched so much new art and content, like way more content than we've ever dropped at a single time either. And that's, what the creatives here on this call will probably be talking about a bit later as well. But it's just really satisfying to see how well executed everything was, and having an expansion like this, which we have had on our plan and our like roadmap from the very beginning to be a cross-chain game, and now we are, and seeing how seamlessly that it flows from one to another really is exactly how I had envisioned it, and I'm super pleased with how it was executed. Everyone pulled really hard. There was, I think, not a single person on our team didn't do like twice as much work this last week than they usually do. Like it's just been so much, and everyone's really killed it. So just step back and offer a big round of applause to our team, and all the hard work for everyone involved. And then also just to kind of talk about, the actual launch of it and how we handled the crystal token and had all those like airdrops, where we are basically taking a whole other approach here where we're trying to reward the community directly, with these expansions and with these new utility tokens and NFTs and stuff like that. Like we're not doing a Gen Zero sale like we did last time. We're trying to figure out ways to reward those who are participating in our game and in our network in the ways that we need them to, basically. So basically trying to make everyone else equal partners, and that our team isn't receiving any Gen Zeros just from the virtue of them having built it. We're in the same boat as everyone else. We have to go stake and see if we get lucky in the raffles and like see if we get it. Like we are basically putting ourselves on the same page in the same boat as everyone else in the community. Our team didn't get any of the pre-mint from the crystals. All of that was allocated towards airdrops. So basically the only way for us to get any of those X crystals was to send our heroes on like perilous journey and like do all those same things that the community did. And I'm really, really, really proud of how we handled that and how we're doing it and how we're trying to be a different kind of project out there. So it's really satisfying from my standpoint to see the fruition of all of that, and just how professional our team was, and how supportive we have been of the community, and how supportive the community has been of us. It's been a two-way street, and we're very proud and pleased and grateful for all of that as well. So that's where I'm at. Those are my words. Dreamer, turn the time over to you for a bit to add your thoughts.
Yeah, I just echo the excitement, sentiment that you're sharing with the launch of Crystalvale, DeFi Kingdoms blockchain, the efforts on the marketing side, the efforts on the community and event side that preceded that, leading up to it, the Avalanche Summit, the live stream we did, the giveaways, the community participation, and then working with the partners to find solutions to new unique problems. It always just a beautiful series of events that we should all who have stake in this awesome project be very proud of. And I think there will probably be areas that we'll look at and say, how can we continue to improve? How could we have prepared better? And we are dedicated to that effort. But I do think it's worth also celebrating and enjoying the beauty that is Crystalvale. And today we have a lot of people to talk about, what went into that and a lot of things that we're enjoying. So excited to get to that point. A few things I want to highlight. So Ramp, one of the partners, the Fiat on Ramp, they're integrated in the game at the docks in Serendale and Crystalvale. You go to the docks, you see, I think it says buy one or buy a box, and it should show their icon. I don't know if that was as clear as first, but we tried to make it a little bit more clear. They're also available on the Outpost. So they still have that promotion, 0 fees, buying a box through Ramp up to 1 million of volume. And I think there's only a few more days to do that. So it's not 1 million per person. It's 1 million for the promotion. So I don't think that has been used up yet. So before it is, go out and take advantage. We also announced starting today, there's a 3-week snapshot period for raffles for 100 Gen Zeros that Fox just alluded to. This is really exciting. As noted, we're not doing an initial sale at a fixed price. We're trying to reward the community. We've tried to do it in as many ways and different ways as we can. This is kind of a way to cap it all off as a tribute to the new realm of Crystalvale and the jeweler and being able to stake crystal. Where did that crystal come from? It came from the community's participation. A good chunk of it was airdropped as a reward of various other snapshots. So I am very happy with the partnership with the community. I'm also happy in the maturity of the selling and buying behavior that has occurred upon airdropping initially half of that promised crystal supply and then the remaining half throughout the week. Many other projects, that could have looked at this and said, you guys are crazy. You're going to hand them majority of the supply at the beginning and, they're all going to dump. Look at XYZ other token that did that. And look at what happened. I don't think it's important to look at the price. I'm only focused on the stability. I don't care what the price is right now. I think the maturity of our community and the value that we're trying to seek by supply and demand relative to roadmap and utility and all other inputs, it's just beautiful. So I just want to applaud the community for, looking out for the stability as we continue to have that that price discovery and there, I personally have my own views on what things could happen in mean reversion and so on with the added phases of Crystalvale, but I think that is beautiful and awesome. The other thing I'll point out is the other way to get those Gen Zeros is through leaderboard rewards. So we have also at the same time, we're very intentional to launch some features in Serendale upon Crystalvale launch. That was awesome. One of those is leaderboards, and one of the rewards for some of those leaderboards are those Gen Zeros. So, that's rewarding people playing the game. Go out there, have some competition, get on those leaderboards. I think that's awesome and beautiful. So I could probably go on and on about other things, but that's my takeaways and things I wanted to highlight, Fox and Zeno.
Yeah, no, thank you. So as Zeno kind of alluded to, we want to allow some time for questions about the project and the launch, things like that at the start, and then kind of turn the time over to the creative and the design side to allow them to have the time that they need, and to be respectful of all of their time there as well. So we'll take probably 2 or 3 questions here right now, but we're going to time box it, and then we're going to hand it over to creative, and then at that point after they present, they'll have other questions, and we'd like to keep all of those other questions to just creative questions if that's okay. So we're going to try this out. We're going to call some people up to the stage and see. It looks like we've got Metez. So we're going to call him up right now. Hey, Metez.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep, sure can.
All right, awesome. I'm very happy to be able to ask a few questions about the launch, and I'll try to keep it to one specific point in particular, which I'm very, very curious about. It specifically relates to how the classes and subclasses will be launched for the upcoming Gen Zeros in Serendale. Specifically, we know that there are 2 new basic classes being added, and that those 2 new classes will be part of this new large tree of classes that will be sort of similar to the Serendale tree, but that will be spread out amongst different expansions, right? And currently in Crystalvale, we will get 2 new basic classes and 1 new advanced class from those 2 basic classes. That is clear. What sort of is confusing to me and to some other community members at this point is how that these classes, or how this new classes tree will be sort of spread out in terms of genes. Specifically, when the OG Gen Zeros launched, they're gonna mix of all the classes, all the potential classes in the tree in their entire gene pool. For example, you could have a dominant warrior with a subclass in a knight, and both the warrior and both the class and the subclass would have 4 genes in total, 1 dominant and 3 recessive ones. That could be a combination of the entire skill tree. So there could be a monk in there, an archer, a collection of the entire tree. The thing that's a bit confusing to me at this point is how this will be handled for the upcoming launch. Are the other classes already designed? So will they perhaps be already in the recessive gene pool? But then that would mean that they could potentially be summoned already. So it's a bit confusing in how that the new Gen Zeros would get either to be purely pure new classes, that would be, for example, pure berserkers all the way through, or they would be a berserker with a subclass or with a recessive gene that isn't yet discovered or released. So I'm a bit confused in how this would work. If you could elaborate on this, please.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question, and you're 100% correct that we are launching basically a new quarter of these new genes, or of like the other half, I should say, of our hero genes, because half of them were already released on Serendale. And this is actually a thing I've been in conversation with Hubert about quite a bit. And we actually have a few, I think, really good ideas, but we haven't yet settled 100% on which way we want to go. So I can't answer this with 100% certainty at this point, but I can say that we are actually spending a lot of time very carefully thinking about that. We actually have a scheduled meeting tomorrow to discuss just this exact thing and figure out exactly what solution that we want to do, and probably communicate that out as well at that time. So I can say that, yes, we are very concerned with ensuring that the gene pool is set up in a very evenly distributed way, and that is part of like the main input to that.
Awesome, very glad to hear. I have a lot more questions, but I will leave the stage for someone else and to have the design team on as well for now. I hope to hear you next week, guys. Bye-bye.
I appreciate it, Methez. Thank you so much for your question, and also for all of the good questions you always ask. Let's call up Maliance.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Maliance. Yep.
All right. First, I want to say absolute phenomenal job for all the knights answering everybody's question and answering the same question 6,000 times on launch day. Phenomenal work.
Thank you.
Secondly, the other thing I want to say is I have a lot of people that have been questioning the development of Serendale since Crystalvale is launched, and they think that we're going to stop developing on Serendale. And I know it's been touched on before, but I just wanted to have that like in an open AMA where people can get that information clearly.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. We had a meeting on Friday, the day after we launched, and we're basically like, okay, Crystalvale's out. DFK chain has launched. Obviously, we were still trying to have some issues with it. We're trying to deal with there as well. That I think we did a really good job of handling on the fly. But the primary point in that meeting was, let's recap all those things and let's now pivot towards like going full steam on Serendale. All these like new things that are about to be coming out soon. We're hard at work on them and basically going full steam ahead on that again. So basically like redoubling our efforts. I can say that is currently very, very high on our priority list, and we aren't ignoring that by any means. So you'll expect to see some things. I think we're going to do, well, maybe I shouldn't say 100%, but last I heard, don't hold me to this, okay, but last I heard there was some small things we're going to try to do this week, and then next week there's going to be more. We have a lot of really cool things planned for April that I'm really excited about that will be pretty much all on Serendale, and then there's going to be some big things on Crystalvale as well. So you'll see both. You'll see efforts in expanding on the things that are on Crystalvale in terms of the deck side, but also in terms of the game side, and also adding a bunch of like new things into Serendale, where a lot of the newer things that are launched as far as the gameplay goes will hit Serendale first, and then we'll eventually make it over into Crystalvale as well. So yeah, excellent question. We are very much trying to like really concentrate on that right now.
All right.
I just want to like I just attest real quick that like yeah, we are like still like working very hard on Serendale in terms of like the the map itself, we actually plan on expanding it further than what you see currently, like even on top of the expansion that we already did like in January. I can't say, exactly when, but we have so many plans like for what you can do like in Serendale. We're working on ways for you to actually go out and like explore the different regions with your heroes, as well as things like lands and just a lot of the content that you'll actually be able to do out on the map. Like a lot of that is being actually worked on like now, and then kind of figured out also how it could be carried over to Crystalvale as well.
Yeah, so thanks for your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Better answer than I could have hoped for. Amazing job on the launch as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're gonna shift our gears a little bit. We've already pretty much been on over the half of the AMA now for that, so we're gonna shift gears to creative and design. And there's like so much content that dropped this last week, with like the new map and so many new NPCs and lore and stuff, that it's just really like this is an unprecedented amount of stuff that's been released from them, and it's really been all of their hard work. So this is their moment to kind of talk about that. And if you guys have any questions about like content or design or any of those types of things, like we've got all those people here. So please start to think about those, and let's turn it over to Zeno again to kind of take that away.
Thanks, Fox. Thank you, Fox and Dreamer, both for sharing your time with us today and being here and answering some of those questions and giving our community update. It's really awesome. So moving over to the design, a lot of the design with this new update is obviously very visual. And then there's a lot of flavor text, and then of course Sam's awesome tracks all at the same time. So I figured I would start by just doing kind of a brief tour. I'm just going to kind of briefly highlight each of the new 5 zones. And then after each one, I'll open it up to our design team here, and they can make any comments they want to. After that, I'm going to ask each one of our design team members here if they want to share anything specifically, which they'll share in the AMA chat. And then finally, I'm going to bring a couple people up onto stage to ask design-related questions specifically, please. And then we'll wrap it up after that. So, starting in the, I guess we can start at the bottom, the docks, where we first arrived. It's pretty cool zone. We've got the dead octopus our heroes killed on the way over. And it was, in my opinion, a really, really awesome incorporation of bridging and using the Synapse bridge to get over to Crystalvale. It was super easy. But aside from that, design guys, do you have anything you want to highlight or talk about the process or anything in the doc?
Yeah, I'm curious what people's opinions are on the on Chef Wally, the Walrus Chef.
Oh, I see.
Early, yeah, but so I do think it's funny that Walrus Chefs are now canon in our game. I actually want to I want to have Walrus Chef enemies, but that's a whole other topic. But yeah, the doc was mainly designed by one of our or like our main interior artist, Woostar, who's been around on the project for like forever. He did a lot of the Serendale interiors, or I think all of the Serendale interiors as well. Yeah, he had a lot of freedom and fun, obviously, in designing the docks, and he's really like he likes to just pack things with detail, and so it's really fun kind of going through and just seeing like all the little details. It's something that's really cool that we did this time around for these Crystalvale interiors, was that we added a lot of like clickable elements. So if you like, there's a lot of things that you could click on that are like animated and that sort of like do things. But yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, I think we could probably move on from the docks from there.
Okay, great. Um, yeah, and I did want to comment too on all the like little Easter eggs, all the little clickables. There's a bunch of stuff, and I'm still finding it all, but I enjoy clicking it. So let's go ahead and move over to the marketplace. If anybody wants to start talking about this really cool flame in the center, and I think Jacksicles might have a couple things to share with us in this area as well.
Yeah, I like the marketplace. It's a pretty neat area. I love the flame in the center. It's pretty amazing. I do have some lore centering around that that'll come in future updates, and I'm pretty excited for everybody to explore that feature and its meaning. I also noticed that individuals are talking about the various NPCs throughout the marketplace and other areas, such as Hunter Fior and Olga. Uh, to not go too much into it, we do have a set of quests that Sinstar and I have been working on and creating, and those will be implemented soon. I don't know the exact date, but um, those will be implemented soon, and those NPCs are going to be offering those quests.
Having trouble with my mute button. That's really awesome. Thanks for sharing the Jacksicles. One thing I did want to mention too that I literally noticed before this AMA is that from the worldview map, the flame in the center actually changes to match the color when you're in the marketplace, which I thought was a cool little unique feature just to give our design guys a little bit of kudos. We've got the gardens, the brand new ice gardens. If anybody wants to elaborate on that.
Yeah, I can talk a bit about the music really. It's something that's probably a bit more subtle that a lot of people wouldn't notice, but the music in Crystalvale was composed a lot more intentionally compared to Serendale, I'd say, because you could kind of think about the way it was all being composed from the start. So in Crystalvale, there are two kind of main groups of people, the Seers and the Berserkers, and they are kind of more populated in certain areas. So as we saw earlier, the docks are quite berserkery, if that's a term. The gardens are more seer-based, and then the marketplace that we just talked about is kind of like a melding between the two. And the approach that I took with the music was to really kind of take influences from the different classes. So the music that you hear in the Ice Gardens is a lot more maybe ethereal or dreamlike, more magical compared to the music in the docks, which is far more dark, kind of a darkness and grunginess that we haven't seen or heard in Serendale so far. And then when you get to the marketplace, it's a real kind of melding between the two. So you'll hear flickers of magical sounds and instruments, but also you'll get a kind of grungy darkness in some parts of the tracks as well. So that's a theme that should continue throughout the Crystalvale soundtrack, depending on what classes are more prevalent in the certain areas.
It's really incredible. So that's that you put that much thought into your artistic. My vernacular is failing me, but basically all the amazing work you do is really awesome, to say it simply. So two more areas, and I feel like this is maybe getting a little bit droning, but let's go ahead and finish out. So we're moving to the Cradle, which had our first actual in-game video, and there's a little replay button on the bottom left that was added. But would anybody like to add on to this besides the giant awesome dragon serpent?
Yeah, well, I just want to say that the Cradle's a really cool zone because it's our first zone that isn't like necessarily like related to like a dex or like functional necessarily, or like but is like purely like a lore purely like a lore thing right now. And I don't want to go too unless Jaxels has more to add on it, but I just want to say that is like, well, it's probably like our most like ambitious zone just in terms of art. And also I do want to say that the origin of it was really cool because it actually wasn't supposed to be like a zone. It wasn't originally in the plan. It was just something that was on the map as sort of like a centerpiece, something to just like draw the eye towards, similar to the castle and the mountain in Sarandale. That's sort of because that's kind of like it's not, I guess, like technically our landing page, but it is sort of like a landing page, and that it's like a backdrop of what you look at a lot, like when you first enter the world, either on Crystalvale or Sarandale. So that was the original intention of it. It was just supposed to be aesthetic, and so it's just really cool how with this team and stuff, it's like someone will just come up with an idea, and then like a completely other team will or department will just like kind of run with it, and like it's just the creative sort of back and forth was just like really, I think, like it came to like a lot of maturity with Crystalvale. And so for that reason, I really am excited to see what continues to get developed for this zone, in particular, the Cradle.
Yeah, and to add on to what Cinnamon was saying, the Cradle is my all-time like favorite zone. I absolutely love it, and the great thing with Crystalvale is that when I had joined the team, Crystalvale was like a blank canvas for me to develop a story, and I had a lot of fun developing with that. And like Cinnamon said, this zone originally was not supposed to exist, and when he was sharing the artwork with me, I was like, hey, like, are we doing anything for that place? Like, is there going to be like anything special going on? He's like, no. And I'm like, well, now there is, because I started going into overdrive mode, developing a whole backstory and like future storylines and so forth with the serpent, whose name is Zenra. And yeah, I'm pretty excited for the future development of that area.
It's like Chekhov's dragon, Chekhov's gun, but in this case, Chekhov's dragon. If there's like I guess the analogy would be like if there's a dragon in a story, it's got to breathe fire, I guess. But maybe in our case, it's like if there's a dragon, if the art team just makes a dragon, then eventually there's got to be a story that gets built around it. So definitely should have seen that one coming.
Hey, I just wanted to jump in, hey everybody, and say what an amazing job on keeping that serpent animation under wraps. I didn't even know about it until I actually bridged over and I was clicking on everything and I clicked on the cradle and it scared me, but it was amazing.
All right. Yeah, it was really excellent animation. I really enjoyed it myself. I'd like to see more of that in the future. So, as always, I'm excited to see what DFK has in the future. So the last place we're going to is the Jeweler, which has my favorite Easter egg. And by the way, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but is there anything you guys would like to discuss or add on with the Jeweler and Crystalvale?
Just Dwarves rule.
Sounds good. All right. I like the lava part. So I'm going to kind of go through everybody and see if anybody wants to share anything particular we didn't get a chance to comment on during. So why don't we start off with you, Cinnamon Bun? Is there anything you would like to show with our community as far as creative?
Yeah, sure. Let me just drop either just some slight teasers. Let me just drop in some teasers for an upcoming zone for Crystalvale. I'm just gonna drop these in AMA voiceless chat. So we so as you can see right now, we have 5 zones in Crystalvale, and the idea is that over time we're going to build it up so it has a lot of the functionality that Sarandale has, especially with Gen 0 heroes. It'll have a lot of the functionality that Sarandale has, such as the meditation circle and the the summoning portal and the tavern and such. The teasers I dropped are actually from the portal that we're working on, and I'm particularly excited about this portal because I won't maybe go too much into it, because it's one of those things again where it's like you have to see it when it comes out, but it's a lot different than any zone that we've done yet, so I'm really excited about that.
Thanks, Cinnamon. How about you, Alice? Anything you want to share or talk about while you've got stage?
Hey everyone. I can't go in AMA without talking about combat. I just want to reassure everyone how crazy of a feature it's going to be. What I love seeing is all the different departments, working so closely together to make this one cohesive, awesome, fun experience. And we got the mechanics department, taking everything into consideration, making sure things are balanced, coming up with cool ideas for skills and stuff. We got the lore folks. They're making sure the enemies feel like they have a home in the world. And then we have the art department, and we're working really hard with how we're conveying the heroes in combat, and all these cool new enemies and things. And I actually have a teaser too that I will drop here in the AMA voiceless chat. I actually pulled this out on my phone a lot during my time at Barcelona, and people seem to like it. So it's just a little teaser with some of the animations we're working on. And but yeah, I just want to remind you guys, combat is it's in the works. No one wants this feature more than me, and I can't wait to show. Wow, there's a lot of emojis popping up. But yeah, I'm just so excited for it, and I can't wait to show more in the future. And yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
Wow, that looks really great, Alice. I'm stoked for combat personally. Sam, do you want to share anything with us?
Yeah, of course. I've got a little teaser to share. So everyone knows that we're in phase 1 of Crystalvale currently, and as Cinnamon Bun was talking about earlier, we have plans to expand the map to different areas, and we were shared some snippets or some pictures for the portal area. So I'm just going to put in a short teaser of the portal track into the voice of the chat. I've never shared an audio snippet over the AMA, so it's hard to maybe give time to listening. So maybe if we endure 25-ish seconds of awkwardness whilst we all head to that chat and give the track a listen to, and maybe the editor for the video can put it in for the YouTube track. I don't know, but I'll whack it in now, and hopefully you enjoy.
I love how nobody's talking now because everyone's loading the music file. Nice.
There we are. This is not awkward in the slightest. I hope you enjoyed it, guys.
This sounds
That's
amazing.
really awesome.
That was great, Sam. Somebody should lay a rap track over that. I'd love to see it. Anybody else? Is there anything else anybody else wanted to share before we open the floor for some folks to come up on stage and ask us some questions?
Yeah, I had one more thing I wanted to share. So this is something that we are working very hard on right now, and it's like it's a feature that's a lot of fun to work on, and it is pets. And so I'm just gonna drop this animation into the AMA voiceless chat, and that right there is a pet called an Illyrian Leafra, which is a higher rarity pet that is conceptually connected to the region that's in the upper left corner of the map called Illyria's Rest, which is like this kind of forested area where you might eventually find things like Fae and Ents and stuff like that. And so one of the cool things that we're trying to do with pets is that we are trying to enhance the kind of world building a lot in the game by connecting pets to different things such as future enemies, things you already could see in the world as well. We'll also have like smaller versions like as pets. And so and I do want to put a disclaimer that while the pet is final, or yeah, while the pet is pretty much final, the not to read too much into things displayed on the card, as that is still a work in progress. And the card is actually is designed by our UI lead Lux, who has just done like a beautiful job with like our newer game UIs, but especially I think she's really blown it out of the water with these card designs. Um, and yeah, I'm just like super. This is like just such a fun area of the game to work on, and yeah, I'm really excited for, for these for these eggs to be put in the hatchery and get hatching and stuff. So
Yeah, that looks really great, Cinnamon. He actually let me see it a little bit earlier today, so it looks really awesome. Anybody else? Would you like to share? Are we ready to open up the stage to our friends in the community? Sounds good. All right. We're just going to go in order. So, Matez, you had your hand up first. I'm going to invite you up on stage to speak.
Hey guys, sorry for being first again. So in terms of like the lore and the design specifically, the comparison between the Serendale map and the Crystalvale map. I mean, from a mechanical perspective, I can see that some places need to overlap, like we need a jeweler and all those things. But you guys working as like the art and the design team, will there be significant differences between how those two realms will not only look like, but also how they feel in terms of how you interact with it? Will it be sort of more like a one-on-one comparison with a lot of stylish?
do you mean to say like is there like functionally will they work different? Sorry, is there any chance you could clarify your question a little?
I think Matez might have lost his mic.
Okay. Well, I just based off of what I think I got from it, I mean, like I guess you could think of it as like there are some shared functionalities between Crystalvale and Sterndale, such as like yeah, like the marketplace, the jeweler, and the docks and things like that. But I think one of the cool things about this game and about making a game on the blockchain is that it's like yeah, you have stuff like that, but then once that is sort of working kind of seamlessly, it's like there's a lot of places where things could be diverged, I guess, and you could see like a lot more of the character in the two worlds, in terms of like the things that are more content oriented. So like for example, the cradle is as an example, like there's not going to be a cradle in Serendale. And likewise in Serendale, we're working on a PvP Coliseum. That's actually what I was kind of live streaming from the Avalanche Summit, was the creation of like a PvP Coliseum in Serendale. And Crystalvale might not have a PvP Coliseum; it might have something else. So I think that as time goes on, and a lot of as time goes on, there's I think going to be a lot of like divergence in terms of like zones in across both of the realms.
Thanks, Matez. We can't hear you if you're talking. I see you muting and unmuting, getting any audio on my end.
Yeah, I'm not getting audio on my end.
Sorry, I'm not hearing you. And
if he gets that fixed, he could definitely clarify that like further.
Let's see. All right. Matez, somebody suggested I kick you off the stage and then re-invite you up if you can raise your hand one more time. I don't want to spend too much more time on this, but I do want to give you a chance to clarify your question.
He said we're good to move on in the chat.
Cool. Thanks, Betty. All right, so hold the future or hodl the future, however you like to pronounce it.
It's hodl, I suppose. Hey everyone. So I've been running a Dungeons and Dragons game that's based in Serendale with some really cool people. And we use our heroes to kind of like navigate a space. We stream every weekend, short shill there. We're called Dungeons and Dragons. I would love more lore to be written so I can like selfishly incorporate it into my story. We still have that like docs.defykingdoms.com/learn/lore that I think needs to be updated, by the way, because with the Crystalvale expansion, some of it's not even like accurate anymore. But I was wondering if you have any plans to like publish more of your lore. Like you mentioned the name of like that tree up in the northeast. That's really cool. Like, is there a name for the mountain in Serendale? Like more of that stuff. Can we expect more of that?
Yes, there is a lot of lore we are working, and it's funny that you bring up Dungeons and Dragons because I absolutely love Dungeons and Dragons. I have a campaign I'm hosting right now as well. And that's the first I've heard someone taking DeFi Kingdoms and putting it into a D&D setting. That's amazing. Yes, there is lore that is coming. It's a lot of work putting and keeping track of world building. And for mountains that are named, yes, there is a mountain range that is named, and it's referenced in the Sir Derek's plaque in the marketplace on Serendale. There is one called Dranglin Pass, and that place is also going to have some stuff in it as well. But yeah, we have a bunch of features that I can't go too much into detail that are going to implement the lore into the game in various ways, and I'm super excited for you all to experience that.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, I would anything you have, I will soak up and try to keep my my campaign true to the actual story. If you guys want to check us out on Twitch, we're Degens and Dragons. It's a lot of fun. Thanks.
Nice.
And let's go ahead and move on. Jin the Mage, I've invited you up on stage. Look at that, Ryan. How you doing?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate all the work the team does. Quick question, kind of plays on a little bit of what Jaskills just said. Will we see the lore become more important to gameplay in any way? For example, things like only being able to find certain types of items or pets or like enemies in specific regions, something like that, or like with like The Witcher 3, checking your bestiary to see what oils and spells are effective against monsters. Just kind of different ways that the lore might be able to integrate with the gameplay.
Yeah, as far as like quests and maybe like items and stuff, Josh could probably speak more on that, but at least in terms of like the map, yeah, like one of the things that we actually really excited about is that like for um like in sort of figuring out the it's kind of funny because in a lot of ways the pets are sort of like teasers for enemies that you'll eventually be able to find because the idea is that the like you'll be able to fight different enemies like different enemy types like in certain regions, like in some regions but not in other regions based off of the context of those regions. So for example, like and if you notice, and by the way, if anyone's curious, like whenever I mention like regions or anything, like right now on the map there isn't like a UI yet to like view the actual region boundaries, but if you click on the land plots, the lands will actually say like what region they're in. So like the region that is the sort of town that is like south of Adeline, which is Ambertown. Uh, well, really any place that has like a town or a large like human settlement would have things like bandits in the sort of enemy pool, so that in the idea is that like bandits kind of flock to places where there's outside of cities and towns and such, and things like if you fight goblins, they'll or if there's like a goblin camp. Right now, there's not goblin camps on the map, but eventually, like if there's goblin camps, you'll fight like goblins there. And then, well, and there is like stuff like haunted stuff, like the Dorniel Abbey, which is like to the to the right of Adeline, or to the in my head I have it like mixed up. To the wait, it's the to the east. Yeah, to the east of Adeline. You'll see like Dorniel Abbey, and then if you fight enemies in that region, they'll be like more like undead themed, because that's like an old like ruined abbey from like before Adeline and stuff like that. So yeah, like the context of like the world will definitely matter in terms of that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's going to be pretty dope in my opinion. Let's see. So thanks, Jen, for your question. We got 9 or 10 minutes left, so let's bring up Faulty Poker. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I was just wondering if there's going to be different forms of pets. Like, will they be able to evolve or anything like that? Because the pet that you guys just shared makes me think that's like a baby pet. Thank you.
Yeah, so I don't want to speak too much on the mechanics of pets, but I will say that so I don't want to use the word specifically evolve. But um but there are going to be like if you have like a like for like these like entlings, I guess if you could call them, which are the like the pet I showed is it's a Illyrian Leafra, which is part of like the entling family. And if you have, let's say, like an uncommon entling, it will look different than a rare entling versus a legendary entling. So there are going to be like progressions, like progressions across rarity levels. And that's both for the sprites themselves and also color variations.
All right. Malians. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm inviting you up on stage.
All right. So I guess my question's more towards the Crystalvale map. One, it looks absolutely stunning. Two, I can see that there's caves made into the mountains. I was wondering if that's going to be possibly another add-on in the future, or if those could possibly just be paths to the other side, or possibly like land locations.
Oh, that's an interesting question, especially considering them as land locations. So yeah, right now there's so those are supposed to be like kind of like dwarven settlements. And yeah, right now they don't really have a function or necessarily like a deeply planned function, but it's something that could come into play certainly.
Okay, because I absolutely just want to be a dwarf inside of a mountain. Like, awesome idea.
Yeah. Well, we'll certainly, as Crystalvale develops, we'll certainly have more dwarves.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Malians.
Thank you.
Great, Yukihira PFP, by the way. All right, Dog. I've invited you on stage.
Can you hear me?
We sure can.
Okay, thanks, guys. I just wanted to ask if there's gonna be like a marketplace for eggs or pets, or like a tavern for pets. I don't know if this has been said yet. Thanks.
I'm not okay. So I actually am not sure how much to comment on that, or how much to say about that. Except like it's like kind of a vague yes. I know that's like kind of a vague answer, but yeah, that's something that is like more yeah, a bit more down the line.
Yeah, there's just very rough plans, nothing set in stone. Those conversations are still ongoing at this point. So it's hard to give a direct answer. Thanks, Dog.
Thank you.
All right, Dun Sparrow, get on up here. Ask Cinnamon a hard question.
Howdy, boys. Can y'all hear me okay?
We sure can.
All right, great. And girls, sorry. Hey, are you guys, I noticed the number of heroes in the game is way higher than the number of eggs, and it's likely to remain that way because the eggs can't summon other eggs. Are you guys planning on having pets be bound to heroes in some way? Or are you kind of thinking that they're going to be more fluid and you can kind of pair a pet with what you're trying to do at the time? Any commentary on like sort of how the pets and heroes interact?
Yeah, so I don't like I don't want to go and just like with the previous question, like I don't want to go too deep into the mechanics. But I will say that is like one of I will say that's like pets being like associated with a hero is like is one of the things that is like kind of being worked on. There's like a few moving parts with pets that make it a little bit complicated, but like that is one of the kind of ideas that we're working on, is like having them be like an equipable
Yeah,
thing. But
so
beyond that, I don't want to like go
I could add some thoughts on this too.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you said, this is all still being worked on, so don't necessarily take this as the gospel truth. But to my knowledge, we haven't talked about doing any kind of like soul bonding or whatever to pets and heroes. It's more of a equipable sort of a thing. So that could change, but that's where we're at right now.
I appreciate it. I know I kind of dove outside the sort of the intent of the AMA a little bit, but I appreciate the answer.
Yeah, no worries. It's still a good question. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dun Sparrow. I'm going to kick you up, and then I'm going to invite Mr. Abroad, Mr. Ogre Abroad on stage to ask us our last question of the day. We can't hear you if you're talking, buddy. And nothing. Let me do that thing. Somebody messaged me that balance how to work. I'm going to kick you off and then just raise your hand again.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. That worked.
Well, so I just want to start off by saying amazing work again. I keep raving the launch was amazing. Yep, problematic, but a lot of times they are, especially when you're doing multiple things for the first time that nobody's ever done. The measure of a team, truly, in my mind, is not whether or not you stumble, because everyone stumbles. It's how quickly you get back up and how you recover from it. And I was very, very happily pleased to see how quickly the team recovered and got things right. In my mind, this was the first time that I've seen. There's been a few little challenges, but this was the first big thing that came up. So it was important, and the team, in my mind, succeeded with flying colors. So kudos and thank you guys for everything you've done. The only real question I have is, we have dwarves now. When ogres?
So ogres are actually currently being talked about as high level enemies. So
Savage.
yeah, you might be able to just beat up ogres, but honestly, and especially after talking to you here, I think we probably need at least one friendly ogre NPC, because I think it's clear that ogres can be friendly as well.
You totally have my permission to use my likeness and kind of merge it with Shrek and throw him in the marketplace or something like that. You guys have a great one. I'm going to step down and let somebody else have a turn. Thanks again.
Nice. Thank you.
Thanks, Uber. Well, that's basically it. We're down to less than 60 seconds. I personally want to thank the design team, Fox, Dreamer, who's stepped away to work more for all of our benefit. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating today, for being involved, for being part of this great community. All 500 plus of you guys who sat here and listened to me drone on and talk about the map that you can easily explore yourself. You really improved my self-esteem today, so thank you for that. I'll just open it up one more time to Fox or any of our design team. If there's anything else you want to add or comment on, great. And then we'll get out of here and get back to work.
Yeah, let's let the artists and builders here spend a few seconds each and offer their parting thoughts. Let's just do Jaxicles, Sam, Purple Onion, Atlas, and Cinnamon Bun, and then I'll go. Is that all right?
It's good.
Okay, Jax.
All right. I just want to say thank you for attending and listening and, witnessing everything that we're working on. Super excited for the future of Crystalvale and Sarandale.
Yeah, I kind of want to mirror that sentiment that we're all really thankful for the way that you guys have responded to this launch in the past week. And thanks for everyone for giving some cool design, creative based questions. It was really nice to hear. And thanks for all the great reception to the music. You guys are a super wholesome community, and I'm so honored to be a part of the community as well as being on the team. So it's a joy to spend time with you all. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
I just want to say thanks for having me. I'm super, super excited for pets, and I'm so glad that we were able to show you guys a little bit of that today. And I have finished my other job, and I'm finally full-time at DFK starting today. So I'm so excited, and I will be around so much more now.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me. I just think the amount of effort that went into Crystalvale can't be understated. Like the whole team, all the departments, like really just killed it. And the craziest thing is like there's just so much more stuff coming. And like I know we get up here and sometimes it's hard to answer questions because it's we can't reveal too much. And I just want to blurt out and be like, you guys are gonna lose your minds when you see this, but. Yeah, it's just it's such a privilege to be on this team and to be here with the best community. And you know, uh, thanks for having me. And yeah, so excited for the future for this project.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? Like, you guys, I mean, just thank you so much for like, the successful launch of Crystalvale and just how like, and thank you too for coming and asking really great questions. Um, and yeah, like, I mean, I have to echo the sentiment of just being super excited about everything we're working on. Like, really, the sky is the limit, like, especially now that we have our DFK chain set up and we like just all the content we're working on right now to just build on top of that and like build this game out. It's just like the sky's the limit, and I'm so excited right now, and thank you guys so much.
Okay, well, I guess it's back to me. We did go kind of long on this AMA. I wasn't necessarily planning on the whole hour, but there's so much to talk about with content, and I think our artists and our lore writers and all that have like really hit this one out of the park. There's so much new content. I still haven't had time to go through it all yet. There's just so much there. I was surprised and shocked too. Like when I first went into the cradle, I was there on like very little sleep, and I was like, oh, this is nice, relaxing. And then suddenly that snake's like, and I was like, scared the crap out of me, But I'm really looking forward to the stuff they're working on actually being turned over into you guys' hands here in the community, because I've seen a lot of it behind the scenes, and there's some really good stuff. So we're going to be pushing harder on that, and hopefully giving more ammo for those D&D games and stuff. And we're excited to be transitioning now into really basically focusing on the game and the content and the lore, and making it fun and making this a really immersive, cohesive experience for all of our users. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for our creatives and our artists here, and just thank you again to the community and for all of the wonderful support you guys have shown. It's been such a huge week for us. I couldn't be prouder of where we're at and all of the people and all the hard work that has gone into this. So thanks everyone for coming, and have a good day. Bullish.
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 Bullish.